to give love away.
I'm Julian Walker, and I want to talk to you today about another really interesting overlap between science and spirituality. So the first little bit we'll talk about has to do with the mirror neuron system, which you may have heard of. This is a recent discovery just in the last 10 or 15 years, and it has to do with how we have brain cells that simulate the experience of other people as we're observing them. So this was first discovered in Italy in experiments involving monkeys, where they observed that when the researcher would reach for a nut or a banana, the same brain cells in the monkey's brain that would fire when they themselves were reaching for the food would fire even though they weren't doing anything. And so over time, as we've continued researching this, we found that, especially within the human brain, there are brain cells that simulate movements, and there are brain cells also that simulate emotions. And this may be part of where empathy and compassion come from. So what does this have to do with yoga? Well, if you think about it, when you're in a yoga class, you're moving with other people, and you're emulating what the instructor demonstrates, and maybe you're emulating the people around you if you're not familiar with the poses. And there's a way that I think, if we're aware of it while we're practicing yoga, and also for teachers while we're teaching yoga, we can link this awareness of shared movement with shared emotional states and with the sense of empathy and compassion for one another. Because another thing that the research shows is that the more we exercise the brain cells that have to do with emulating or simulating in our own bodies the movements of others, there's also an effect that strengthens that emotional awareness of one another as well. Thank you for your time.